If you are somebody that is seriously contemplating getting into an electric mower or a riding mower specifically in today's video, I have something for you. Now, there's a couple major players out there when it comes to electric riding mowers, and Ryobi, not Ryobi, is one of them. Now, in today's video, I have the brand new Gen 3 ZR3 80 volt HP brushless 42-inch cut Ryobi zero-turn mower, and this just hit the market. But if you walk past one of these at the Home Depot, or if you've seen these online, there's definitely a few things that you need to know before you make that purchasing decision. So let's just get into it. So as mentioned, this is the ZR3, meaning this is the 3rd gen Ryobi, not Ryobi zero-turn mower. Now, sometimes there is confusion when it comes to the Ryobi zero-turn mowers, specifically because there are 3 generations. The first one is the lead acid, which I've never personally used, but I've heard was not all that great battery-wise. The 2nd gen I thought was really real nice. Like, it had the joystick, and I've used it for years. I never had one issue with it. I had multiple update videos on that mower, and I still stand by my reviews. It's a great mower. But there have been some major updates to the new Gen 3. Some of you will love all of them. Some of you will like some of them. Some of you will like none of them. I don't know what I just said there. So we're gonna compare the Gen 3 from the Gen 2 because I know more about the Gen 2, and the Gen 1 I guess sucks. So we're just not even gonna talk about that. Now, if you order this thing online and have it delivered to your house, well, it's going to come in a pretty big package. This metal pallet here, I mean, you can literally turn this thing into a trailer with the framing they got going on over here. So packaging really good. You're going to have to attach the seat, and you're going to have to attach the paddles, which is not really hard to do at all. It comes with the tools that you can use. I used a ratchet, but you do you. So let's talk about the battery. So what we have here is still an 80 volt mower. But if you notice something here, these are a little bit different compared to the previous 80 volts. Come on. The other ones were green and black. These ones are just black. Well, I guess there is some white and silver and green on that. But these are 14 amp hours. And what's cool about this is that the price actually dropped a little bit on these compared to the previous gen, where they were $900 a piece. These are... Now, one of the first things you need to know is that, well, these come in different configurations when you buy these mowers. So if you were just buying the base model, you're only going to get 2 of these 80 volts. You would have to buy the 3rd one separately. And you're also going to get the 80 volt charger for these batteries. However, there is something you need to know. This one right here, even though it's light and much more compact than the Hyper charger, which we'll talk about here in a second, this one is much slower when it comes to charging this mower. So you can see that I had this hanging up on my wall, and the size of my hand ought to tell you how small this is. And it's very easy to use. You just plug it into a standard electrical outlet, and then this part right here goes into the back of the mower. I mean, I guess technically it's not on the back, but it is on the top rear here, and then you just plug it in and it'll charge. And it will charge each one of those 80 volts, big word, simultaneously. However, I must point this out that, well, this is very slow. What I'm saying to you be, if you're planning on getting that charger, you're gonna be able to cut your grass and run these batteries all the way down, and then you're gonna have to recharge like overnight. It's gonna take you hours to recharge these massive 80 volts. So, if you are planning on buying this mower, I plead with you, I beg with you, this is something you will thank me for later, buy the Hyper charger. It is much faster. You will charge all of these here in a few hours compared to overnight or like 6 hours worth of charging for these. All right, so a few other things that you need to know about this mower compared to the Gen 2, which pretty much everything was included when you bought the Gen 2. What do I mean by that? Well, look at this. You can see that my chair is up, but what is this over here? Well, this is an upgrade. And that light, oh, you see it now, don't you? Well, those are also both upgrades, but there's a plus and negative to this. You see, on the 2nd gen, everything like that was already included. This right here basically makes the seat more comfortable. You have your adjustment for your lumbar, and you can also sit up a little bit higher on this thing here. So basically that bottom piece is an upgraded piece for this mower that you have to buy separately or maybe in the kit. And without it, I mean, you still got springs on here, still pretty comfortable. Now, some people might say, why do I need that upgrade? Well, you really don't. However, I noticed without it, I sit a little bit like this on an angle slanted downwards. However, with this, I can adjust it and I'm more comfortable sitting on the seat, and it also sets up a little bit higher. Not to mention, you're gonna get the right and the left armrest. So if you want these where they came standard on the previous gen, you're gonna have to pay extra for them. And if you do get this seat, they will send you height adjustments for the paddles. So you have to install those as well. It's not a big deal, very easy to do. It takes about an hour to get everything done because you do have to take out, well, this metal plate right here. They're gonna send you a different metal plate that'll fit this adjustment right here. The screw holes will line up and, well, you're ready to go. Now, as mentioned, there are some pluses and negatives when it comes to the added upgrades. Number one, the positive, if you ended up just buying the base mower, it's gonna be a lot cheaper than what the previous gen would be because you're not getting all the fancy upgrades. However, if you're somebody that wants the fancy upgrades, well, you're gonna have to purchase them separately or buy them in the kit configuration and then install them yourself, not from factory like the previous gen. Now, me personally, I could have went either way with it. Do I want to keep the price down? Do I need all the fancy stuff? Well, not everybody does, so that'll help save you some money. However, if you are somebody that wants everything all decked out on this mower and you're not really all that DIY savvy, well, that might run into some issues for a lot of other people. Now, obviously, the biggest change on this mower compared to the previous gen is, well, they brought back the paddles. With popular demand, a lot of people wanted the paddles back. I actually got used to the joystick. It took me a little while to get used to the joystick, but I really liked the joystick. However, people wanted the paddles back. Now I had to get used to the paddles again, but it's like riding a bike. Once you know how to do it, and you can do it for the rest of your life. I should have said learning to drive a stick shift. It would have been much cooler. And a couple other things I want to point out real quick. Blades, you only have 2 of them underneath here. My previous 54-inch, I believe it was, had 6 blades, so it's a little bit cheaper. However, does it cut better or worse? We'll talk about that here in a bit. As for the electronics, well, they've changed a little bit too, including the way you adjust those blades up here, but let me show you the screen real quick. So right here is going to be the lever to turn the blades on. You just pull up on that. If you want to shut them off, you just push down on that. You got a slow drive speed, so low turtle. You got an eco mode and the deck adjustment, which I really freaking like. So instead of having a lever, you're gonna have this knob, and all you do is push down on this, adjust your height by turning that knob. It doesn't have to be clockwise or counterclockwise. You can go either way. And then once you adjust your height, you just bring it back down. And the thing that I really have to point out that I like about this is that when you're trying to go up on a trailer, this actually gives you a little bit more height than the previous model, and I don't scrape like I did with the other one. It's also really quick and easy to use. On FYI, even though this is a smaller model compared to the previous mower, this is very comfortable, and I'm 6 foot tall. Holy crap, I almost forgot like one of the biggest updates to this mower, which is freaking awesome. Look at the back and look at the front. What are we seeing here? One of my complaints on the previous model was the back hitch. Where you hook up your trailer, well, that used to be bolted in. Sometimes the screws would come out, especially if you didn't put Loctite on. However, this is a weld on the back now, so much more beefier. Ryobi, thank you for doing that. Ryobi, they probably wouldn't have fixed that for us. But here's the update that I love. They added a 2-inch hitch on the back, and they added one right on the front. So now, say you have a trailer or something you need to move, now you can do it. I can hook my trailer right up to the mower instead of having to pull my quad out and move this out of the side yard and bring it where I need to with that mower, which is real nice like. All right, so now we're gonna cut some grass. I wanna show you something here. I have been on vacation for a week, and look at the nasty. It's overgrown, doesn't look good. It's also rained for a couple of days here, thunderstorm, so the grass is moist. So let's get on this bad boy and slice and dice. Use and abuse. All right, don't mind my camera work here. So this is your on, off, and your auxiliary. You're gonna get like 3 keys with this mower, which is pretty cool. So aux would be this way, and then on would be that way. That's all you have to do. Then you just gotta bring your paddles in. So the mower's not gonna go unless you have the paddles in. All right, so the screen, you got a couple different functions. So number one is how much battery life you have. 95%. You hit this, is gonna bring you to inspect blades. It'll remind you to sharpen them or change them, whatever you need to do. And then this is the app that you can download. I don't usually use the app, but they do have the Ryobi app for this. We're gonna cut at 4.5 in height because it is a little hot out today. Don't wanna scorch the grass. It's still early morning, so we should be okay. And then all you have to do to start the blaze, as mentioned, is pull up like such. And that's it. Oh, by the way, this is your brake here. And then release it. They don't have the rubber overmold like they did on the previous one. But Let's talk about some of the information that I know a lot of you are going to want to know before you purchase this. So, how much can this cut? Well, with the 280-volt rays in here, Ryobi claims that you can do up to 2 acres. Now, I have three 80-volt batteries in here, so I can do a little bit more, but it's really going to depend on the conditions. Is it springtime? Your grass is a lot taller, wet, thick, moist. Well, you're probably not going to get that whole 2 acres on just two 80-volt batteries. You're going to have to go with the 3-pack. But with that said, in the summertime, when it's hot, the grass isn't growing as fast because it goes into hibernation. You're going to get more than 2 acres cutting with this mower. Now, as far as it goes with cutting itself, this thing is smooth and very responsive. The one thing that I mentioned a couple times, well, a few times with the joystick, the Gen 2 mowers, is that it did not cut straight. You had a really hard time keeping those straight lines. But by bringing back the paddles, they really did eliminate that issue. Now, as for the cutting height, you can cut from 1.5 inches up to 4.5 inches. I did lower the deck as I was cutting a little bit because, well, I wasn't taking enough off the top. Again, 250 pounds of pulling, so I can pull that trailer realistically. I don't have any issues. I've tried it and it works fine. But pulling something more than that, you're probably going to struggle with it. As far as it goes with the actual power of this, well, the mower uses 4 brushless motors, 2 for driving and 2 for the blades, and Ryobi compares this up to a 25 horsepower gas engine. And believe me, anybody that's ever used the newer electric mowers, such as a self-propel or a zero turn, they have a lot of torque. So you're not going to have any issues with this thing bogging down or not being able to cut the grass. And to be honest with you, look how good it does. I mean, the cut quality on this for only having 2 blades was really kind of surprising for me. I think it actually did better than the 6 blades on the other mower. It was just a smooth cut. And the paddles, I'm really enjoying the paddles. I'm getting used to them again. So it handles very well. So what about build quality? Well, it's still a DIY mower. It's not a professional grade by any means. However, I can see some really good upgrades that they did on this mower compared to the previous gen, even though I've never had any major issues with that mower. As far as it goes with the deck, it's a 42-inch fabricated steel deck, not a basic stamped, and the cutting height adjusts from a 1.5 to 4.5 inches, in case I didn't mention that earlier, which I think I did. Now, I have to address a main concern that a lot of people had on the previous gen model, even though I mentioned it a million times in every one of the videos that I did. What about service? What happens if something happens to this or it breaks down? Well, number one, you get a 5-year warranty. So that's pretty real nice. Like, second thing is you don't have to take it anywhere. They will service this at your home. So if something breaks down, especially if you're under warranty, but if something breaks down, if you need something fixed, something's not working correctly, one of the motors goes out, whatever, they will send a tech directly to your home and they will fix it on the. Now, what I want you to hear is the actual mower running. So I'm going to play a couple clips here. And what's nice about this electric mower is if you're just pulling like a trailer, you don't have to hear a loud gas motor. Remember, no oil changes, no fluid changes, no spark plugs, nothing like that. No type of maintenance that you do on a conventional mower. So that's what's really nice about these electric mowers. But what's also great about them is that they're quiet. So the only thing you're really hearing is the blade. So if you want to cut early in the morning, you want to cut later at night, you can probably do that and not really bother the neighbors or wake your family up. I'm just saying, some people like to cut early. So I'm going to let you hear this and you tell me what you think. Now I'm going to shut it off and you can hear that I'm operating this, but you don't hear a motor going. You can just pull your trailers, do your landscaping, and yeah. Even though I've been messing around and running back and forth and moving my camera back and forth and all that stuff, I am at 57% for just under an acre. The grass was a little bit higher, a little bit moist, but like I said, I had this thing on when I'm moving the camera around and stuff, so that's added time. So 57% I mean, I'm happy with that for at least what I got. So all in all, I'm really happy with the upgrades. Now, again, you can look at it two ways. You have to buy a special kit if you want the hypercharger, or if you want to upgrade the seat or the light. You're gonna pay a little bit more. However, you can buy the base model and you might not want all that stuff, so you don't pay as much. So I think that's pretty real nice. Like as far as it goes with the power and all that stuff, it is really, really good. I do, however, hope that they offer a larger model and not just a 42-inch. Some people want a bigger, larger 54-inch deck, and we'll see what happens there. And yeah, for more accessories, yeah, they got them. If you want a bagger, you can buy the bagger and throw it on the back of this thing here. You don't like the grass clippings, which I actually like because it fertilizes my grass. But all in all, I think it's a solid, solid mower. And we're going to do multiple reviews on this, 1 year later and, end of season. So all in all, yes, I really do like this. I'm getting used to the paddles again, and it cuts very straight. The power's there. It's comfortable. I like the seat adjustment, and I really love the hitch they put on the front. I said that a couple times, but I really do appreciate them doing that. So all in all, yeah, great job, Ryobi. Not Ryobi. Let me know what you think. Did you buy the previous gens? What did you think of that? And if you're thinking about buying this, I'm curious to know what you think about what you've seen. So I'll leave these attached to the shopping bag at the end of this video. You can check them out. It helps the channel if you buy through there. Hit subscribe, hit the bell notifications, smash that like button. That'd be greatly appreciated. We'll be back with more videos soon.